Have you ever heard of a street gang so organized, so widespread, that it operates like a transnational army? Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy world of Mara Salvatrucha, better known as MS-13. This isn't just another story about a local crew. It's the saga of how a group of marginalized immigrants, fleeing a brutal civil war, forged one of the most notorious criminal organizations on the planet. Our story begins not on the streets of a bustling metropolis, but in the war-torn landscapes of El Salvador during the 1980s. A devastating civil war displaced hundreds of thousands of people, many of whom sought refuge in the United States, particularly in the Pico Union neighborhood of Los Angeles. These young refugees arrived in a new country, often without family, support, or prospects. They found themselves in neighborhoods already dominated by established, often hostile, street gangs. To survive, they banded together. They formed their own group, their own Mara, a Salvadoran slang term for gang. They called themselves the Mara Salvatrucha Stoners, initially more focused on music and community than on crime. But that was about to change. Life in LA was tough. The Salvadoran newcomers were frequently targeted by rival gangs, most notably the powerful 18th Street Gang. Protection turned to retaliation, and a vicious cycle of violence was ignited. The Stoners moniker was dropped, and the group became simply Mara Salvatrucha. The 13 was added later as a nod of allegiance to the Mexican Mafia, or La IM, a powerful prison gang that controlled criminal activities in Southern California's correctional facilities. This alliance gave MS-13 protection behind bars and access to a broader criminal network. But it came at a price. They had to prove their ruthlessness. The gang's structure began to formalize. Many of the original members had first-hand experience with military tactics and guerrilla warfare. From the Salvadoran Civil War, they brought a level of discipline and organization rarely seen in street gangs. Leaders, known as palabreros or shot-callers, established strict codes of conduct. Disloyalty or cooperation with law enforcement was a death sentence. Their motto, which is too brutal to repeat here, essentially translates to a mandate of extreme violence to maintain control. This militarized structure, combined with a reputation for shocking brutality, allowed them to rapidly expand their influence. Then, a pivotal moment occurred in the 1990s. The U.S. government, grappling with rising gang violence, enacted tougher immigration laws. Thousands of convicted MS-13 members were deported back to El Salvador and other Central American countries. Instead of solving the problem, this policy inadvertently exported the MS-13 brand. These hardened criminals arrived back in countries with weak law enforcement and struggling economies. They didn't reform, they recruited. They established new cliques, or chapters, across Central America, turning a Los Angeles street gang into a transnational criminal enterprise. This created a feedback loop. The gang's power grew in Central America, fueling more instability and causing more people to flee north, some of whom would inevitably be drawn into the gang's orbit in the U.S. The scope of their criminal activities is staggering. We're talking about far more than just street-level altercations. MS-13 became deeply involved in international drug trafficking. acting as enforcers and distributors for powerful cartels. They perfected the art of extortion, demanding rent from local businesses in territories they controlled. Failure to pay meant swift and violent consequences. Human trafficking, weapons smuggling, and contract killings became standard operating procedures. Their violence wasn't just functional, it was performative. They used extreme acts to terrorize communities, intimidate rivals, and enforce absolute obedience within their ranks. This culture of fear became their most powerful weapon. For years, local law enforcement struggled to keep up. The gang's transnational nature and strict code of silence made it incredibly difficult to penetrate. Witnesses were too terrified to testify. Investigations would hit a wall because orders were coming from leaders imprisoned thousands of miles away in El Salvador. A new approach was needed. This led to the creation of specialized federal task forces, like the FBI's MS-13 National Gang Task Force. The strategy shifted from simply arresting street-level members to dismantling the entire organization from the top down. Law enforcement began using RICO statutes the racketeer influenced, and corrupt organizations act the same powerful legal tool used to take down the mafia. RICO laws allow prosecutors to target the entire criminal enterprise, charging leaders for crimes committed by their subordinates. This was a game changer. Suddenly, investigators could connect a crime in Virginia to a shot caller in Los Angeles and a high-level leader in a Salvadoran prison. Transnational cooperation between U.S. law enforcement and their counterparts in Central America became essential. These joint operations have led to massive takedowns. In operations with names like Operation Raging Bull and Operation Community Shield, hundreds of members and leaders have been indicted and convicted, receiving lengthy prison sentences that have significantly disrupted the gang's command structure. These investigations revealed the shocking inner workings of the gang. They uncovered a sophisticated hierarchy, with directives passed down from national leaders to regional clique leaders, all the way to the foot soldiers on the street. They learned about the brutal initiation rituals, where prospective members had to endure a 13-second beating or commit a serious crime to prove their loyalty. However, dismantling an organization this entrenched is not just about arrests. A critical component of the modern strategy is prevention. Community programs have become vital in offering young people an alternative to gang life. These initiatives provide after-school activities, job training, and mentorship aiming to address the root causes of why someone might join a gang in the first place: poverty, lack of opportunity, and a need for belonging. By strengthening communities, authorities hope to cut off the supply of new recruits. Despite these successes, the fight is far from over. MS-13 has proven to be resilient. While many of its U.S.-based cliques have been weakened, the gang's power base in Central America remains strong, continuing to fuel violence and instability in the region. The story of MS-13 is a sobering lesson in how social marginalization, violence, and flawed policies can combine to create a monster that spans borders and generations. It's a complex web of crime, culture, and survival that continues to challenge law enforcement and communities around the world. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the world of MS-13. If you found this video informative, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.